Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter Watches TV, where I watch all the TV shows and then I come over here and I react to them. And today I'm going to do my much anticipated reaction to this week's episode of Sister Wives, Season 19. Let's see what episode it is. Season 19, Episode 22, Love Covers All Wrongs. Now, I haven't filmed, this is actually my first video back in like 4 or 5 days on any of my channels. If you watch any of my other channels or this channel and you're like, I wonder where Peter's been, I've actually put out some statements. I am currently in the process of passing a kidney stone, and it has just been a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of ER visits, and a lot of pain. So I haven't been filming at all on any of my channels. So I wanted to film this video today for 2 reasons. Number one, because I actually watched Sister Wives this week and I have all my notes, and so I was like, I don't want my notes to go to waste and just not film a video at all. Number two, I'm having a moment where I feel okay, so I'm actually going to turn around and vlog after this as well. And then 3, the other reason is that the upcoming episode for this Sunday on Sister Wives is supposedly, in the trailer, they're showing where they address Garrison's passing. And so I wanted to have this video out first. I thought about maybe just like coming back on Monday and doing both of these videos and doing the videos together possibly. A lot of people have been asking me, like, I've gotten a lot of direct messages from, like, are you going to respond to that? I am going to respond to that. I am going to react to that episode. It probably won't be a jokey reaction. You know, I don't know. The thing is, I don't know how they're going to cover it. I have no idea what they're going to talk about, how they're going to show it in the episode. So like any other reaction that I do, you'll just get the truth from me about it. So the whole situation is very, very sad, obviously. I think it's horrible what happened. And I just, you know, I am really interested to see how they handle it on the show, but that's this upcoming episode, and so I wanted to get this episode out first and kind of have some laughs and before addressing that episode. So let's get right into it today. So this episode was, like I said, Season 19, Episode 22, Love Covers All Wrongs. Does it though? I don't know. Okay, so when it starts, we are at Flagstaff, and we're actually at Coyote Pass. Well, we're not. I kind of would love to go to Coyote Pass and just visit Coyote Pass. I think somebody just sent me something that I don't know about this. Okay, so I don't get into all the gossip, the blogs, the news, and all the stuff about Sister Wives. I typically find out most of what I know about Sister Wives, other than watching the show, from you guys. But a couple people sent me something recently about how they actually had sold Coyote Pass finally. So I don't know. I don't know anything about that. If you guys want to send me articles about where to find that, now I kind of want to look it up, actually. So we're at Coyote Pass, and Janelle has obtained a lawyer, which I felt like we knew like half a season ago. And she doesn't want it to be tied to this property forever. She's wanting to move on with her life, which is kind of what she said, I think, at the end of the last episode when she had finally moved to North Carolina with Maddie, that the only thing that was tying her to like her past and to Cody was Coyote Pass, and she just wanted to be done with it. And so she's meeting with Meri at Coyote Pass, which I thought was kind of interesting. I did see this picture come up on, I don't know, Facebook or something, that I think it was that Meri met in Las Vegas with Hunter and Logan. It was like a recent picture. It was just like in the last month or something. I thought that it was, and I don't know how recent that picture is, but I thought I just saw something like that. I thought it was interesting that Janelle and Meri, I mean, there was no hugs given or anything like that, but they seemed to get along pretty well, and they actually even kind of addressed it when they were afterwards, like when each of them talked. It makes Meri sad because they had all these hopes and dreams at Coyote Pass, and you know, it's interesting, like when you think about what Coyote Pass represented for this family, and it's interesting watching it and how strongly they felt attached to this property, because when they had it, like what I remember of Coyote Pass in the show, other than them constantly stomping around out there and them like making all these plans, is I remember that Cody wanted this monstrosity of a house out there with his like own entrance, his own quarters, and then like the wives would have their own separate areas and whatever, and none of the wives really wanted that except for Robin. I remember Janelle living in an RV out there. I remember the first day that they bought Coyote Pass, or they went out there to look at it, and all the kids and Cody jumping around in their underwear out there. Like, I don't know. That was one of the weirdest episodes ever. But, like, I remember, like, you know, since they've all left, I remember, like, Cody and Robin going out there, you know, having picnics and things like that. But I don't remember, like, all these hopes and dreams about Coyote Pass. So it's interesting to me when they say that. With Cody and Robin, it doesn't surprise me. But when the other wives have spoken about their hopes and dreams attached to Coyote Pass, and I think that's where Meri still kind of lingers in what could have been with Cody. I still feel like she kind of hasn't given that up. Which, by the way, it's interesting because, you know, Christine has David, and Christine also has her kids that sometimes are on the show, like Aspen and McKelty were on this episode. And Janelle has Maddie and Caleb, and so, and the beginning of this business and whatever. Meri has the B&B. And I was wondering, I was like, why is Jen in so many of these episodes, Meri's friend Jen? I like Jen. I like her a lot. But I was like, why is Jen in all these episodes? And then I think it occurred to me, like, 2 episodes. I was like, oh, because if Jen's not there, there's nobody for Meri to talk to. And so they can't film Meri into this unless she's just in the confessionals, because there's literally nobody for Meri to talk to. She's literally just standing in her kitchen at the Airbnb, the B&B, what is that? I don't know. It's a B&B with no guests, because I've never seen a guest there ever in any episode. They probably don't want their faces shown. But anyway, so she's just like, they can't have her on camera acting like she's doing anything. And whenever she is doing anything, she's just like, you know, like this spraying off a counter, and it's ridiculous. It's just like, Meri's like, do something, Meri, so that that you have a storyline on this show. So Jen has to be the storyline for Meri. If it wasn't for Jen, there would really not be a storyline for Meri right now. So Meri's storyline on this show is meeting at Coyote Pass with Janelle, which I thought was interesting that they both, like, there was no reason. This is what I thought was interesting, okay? If you watch it from the perspective of production, there was no reason for Janelle and Meri to meet out on Coyote Pass. Meri has no connection to Flagstaff anymore. I think Janelle said something like she still got some stuff there that she was, like, picking up or whatever. But there was no reason for Meri to drive all the way down there, for them to just walk around in the land and have the same conversation they could have on a phone. So it was purely for filming and getting Meri and Janelle together on camera, because there was no reason why that couldn't have been a phone call or a Zoom call. They didn't need to be on Coyote Pass. But anyway, Meri's happy. She makes her sad because they had all these hopes and dreams at Coyote Pass, and also, you know, with their marriages and stuff like that. Neither one of them wants the property. You know, they talk about, is Cody playing a game? So that they'll just be like, we'll just give it to you because we don't want to deal with this anymore, because he's not really answering any of their emails or text messages or anything like that. Janelle is telling Meri that she's, like, in the worst position, because I think Janelle is, like, on 2 plots of land. Meri's on 1, and her plot, I believe, is with Janelle and Cody or something like that. So Meri's going to walk away with the least at this point in the show. Meri says that she has hired a lawyer. Well, I think this is when Janelle says she's hired a lawyer because Cody has ignored her. I thought she said that, like, the beginning of the season, but anyway. And Meri also says that she's hired an attorney, but she doesn't really want to use the attorney. Janelle says that part of her just wants to walk away, but they're going to both fight for it. She feels like Meri was taken for a ride through this whole situation. That's what Meri says. She has an attorney, but she doesn't really want to use him. They both talk about getting into trouble for questioning Cody about any of the plots of Coyote Pass, and that was, like, from the very beginning. Like, if Meri would have said, like, okay, well, wait a second, why is my plot with 2 other people? Like, Cody would have got upset and said that they weren't, like, being, you know, they weren't being obedient and loyal because they were questioning him. So the payout is now they're having to deal with this from the old laws of the past, so to speak, right? They talk about the financial setup of the family and how it all worked. They talk about his saying that he never loved them and finding the love of his life in Robin. And Janelle makes a joke about Robin, his love of his life being this, because he refers to Robin as being a diesel jeans model. And Janelle's like, and that might be true. She's like, but Robin didn't go through half the crap that we did, and we deserve this money off this property, which I 100% agree with. Now we're at Christine's, and Aspen and McKelty are there, and Aspen got glitter extensions in her hair. And Christine is like, what did you do? What did you do? Christine's voice is getting more and more exaggerated as the episodes go. I think she's planning on a new career in, like, voiceovers for cartoons or something. But anyway, McKelty was there. Apparently, apparently, the last episode, I did not catch this, but somebody said that there was a frame, a couple people said it, there was a framed picture. Do you guys, could you just tell my diminished energy? I'm trying so hard, you guys. I'm trying so hard for this coverage today. But so many people commented on my video and said, Peter, I can't believe that you missed the picture of McKelty in the black top hat from the ceremony. Somebody said wedding. Some people when McKelty wore the black top hat, it was for the commitment ceremony of the rules that they made. Do you guys remember when they made those rules up? The family motto rules or whatever, and that they had to have on those placards that Meri has like one in the closet somewhere. Nobody else has them anymore. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It was the whole season was all about coming up with those ridiculous rules. And McKelty wore that black top hat. Apparently, the picture of it was in the last episode. I did not catch that. But anyway, McKelty was at Christine's. Sans the top hat. I wish she would just walk in with the top hat. You know what? I don't think that anything would probably pass a kidney stone quicker than if McKelty walked. No, if you can't listen, if you can't laugh about it, you got to cry about it, right? I don't think anything would help me more than if McKelty would walk in to Christine's with that black top hat on. It just cracks me up so much. Anyway. So, it's the first Valentine's Day. So, the whole talk is about Valentine's Day, right? And so, it's the first Valentine's Day since she got married to Christine. And already, I'm like, okay, so we know what this is going to be. This is about Christine because she's lived in a closet her entire life, a prayer closet. And she has no clue that the rest of the world knows. Like, you know, when she was getting married, she had to educate people on like, well, when you're getting married, you have an engagement party. And when you're getting married, you have a bridal. Like, none of us have ever been around the world and I can't find my baby. I mean, it's like she doesn't know that the rest of the world has actually lived a life. And so this is her first Valentine's Day with David. And I thought, oh, hell's bells. Now she's going to want to educate us on what Valentine's Day means to her. And because we don't, of course, we haven't like, you know, we didn't grow up, you know, in kindergarten class having to give Valentine's to everybody just because she didn't. It's the first experience for her. So anyway. This first experience thing for Christine of like being out of a polygamous family and now she's experiencing everything for the first time was cute maybe like the first 3 or 4 times. Now I'm real over it, if you want to know the truth. Okay, when it was like a shot or a beer or preparing for a wedding, I was like, oh, I could be happy for her. And it was kind of like, oh, she's never like, you know, had a traditional wedding before and all kind of stuff. Now it's literally everything. She explains to the audience like we're idiots. And I'm real over it, if you want to know the truth, you know. She's like, you know, this is a broccoli casserole. Have you ever had a broccoli casserole before? Well, in polygamy, we don't have broccoli casseroles. They're really good. You should try. Like, we've never had broccoli casserole in our life. I'm just like, or green bean casserole. I'm just like, girl, get over it. I'm so over it. So anyway, it's not a polygamous holiday, Valentine's Day. And, which is interesting because as soon as she said that, I was like, well, I remember lots of Valentine's Day parties. I remember you guys always, like, setting up the tables and having lots of food on paper plates. I mean, those gals, listen, they looked for any excuse to, like, have a, you know, bring your own Tupperware. I mean, that, they did, okay? And I was like, I remember a whole Valentine's Day episode where they, like, decorated or did something to Cody's car. And, but anyway, but they go in to explain that it's more of a family holiday because they just do a big party. And so anyway, Robin says it's a complicated holiday. It's a especially when you're the favorite wife. It's a complicated holiday. So they would just do a big party for the kids every year, and blah, 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 and they go and they show this, like, scene where they're, like, you know, spraying all that funny spray all over Cody's car. And Cody's like, oh my God, blah, blah. Who'd care? Anyway, they're helping Christine pick out an outfit. She loves doing fashion shows. Have you ever done a fashion show? Do you know what a fashion show is? Well, a fashion show is where you try on fashions. A fashion show with no fashion. Okay, they should bring Sheree over from Atlanta because that was a fashion show with no fashions. Okay, with Christine trying on those dresses for Valentine's Day. First of all, these outfits that she was trying on, I was like, okay, girl, it's a pass on all of them for me. Okay, well, she really just tried on one red dress that had like a side thing and a belt or something. I was so confusing. It was like one of those things you buy off a Wish. Oh my God. Okay, it was like one of those things I'm trying to get through this video. It's like one of those things you buy off a Wish and it's so tangled you can't even figure out what's going on with it. So anyway, and Truly walks out of the room because she's just real over it at that point, right? So she's like, no, none of the dresses are good. And then, but Christine's like, but I love doing fashion shows. And McKelty's like, do you have anything sexier? And she's like, these are all business outfits. I was like, that is such shade. I was like, that is such shade when your mom is getting ready for Valentine's Day, her first married Valentine's Day. Which, you know, next year will be the second married Valentine's Day. And she's like, do you have anything sexy? Those are all business outfits. Anyway, and then she says, there's nothing like, you can't live down a lap dance at your own wedding. It's just all this cheese ball. And then Truly leaves, and I don't blame her. I don't blame Truly one bit for leaving. Anyway, Truly looks like a 14-year-old Janis Joplin to me, and I cannot unsee it now that I've seen it. So anyway, anyway, it's going to be interesting to see the next couple years. Now we're back in Flagstaff. And they're talking about how they have tax returns and paperwork to do. And it just makes Meri sick that she has to bring a lawyer into it. It just makes her sick. I'd have brought a lawyer into it about 3 years ago. And that Cody pass would have been fucking sold by now. I'm just telling you right now, okay? Janelle says that he has so much... Okay, so Meri's really worried about, like, what the backlash is going to be. Which is interesting because they kind of go in and talk about, like, they've always received backlash. Except for they never publicly share that on the show, right? So Meri's talking about how she's, like, really afraid of, like, the public backlash, or the backlash that she's going to get because Cody is going to, like, come for them, right? And Janelle's like, he already bashes us publicly anyway. Like, what more could he do if we get our attorneys involved? That's why Meri doesn't... I mean, it's really sad because then what you're talking about is an emotionally abusive relationship. And so Janelle says that he has so much to say about them publicly. What else can he do? Because Meri is worried about the backlash. He won't communicate with them at all. Like, he refuses to text them. He refuses to call them. He refuses to email them. And Robin and Cody don't get to keep it all, is what Janelle says. Cody says that Robin's house was paid for all the family debt, which is interesting. They always, like, have different stories about the finances. And he says he has to take away from Robin's assets to give them their money from Coyote Pass, which is interesting because we've never heard that story before on the show. So this is a new narrative that Cody's painting. He says he paid $165,000 more than anyone else. Also a new narrative we've never heard before. He's never cited those numbers on an episode before. Janelle says there's nothing he can do to them. He says he hasn't communicated because he doesn't know what to do. He's like, I don't know what to do. Robin doesn't want to sell it. I want to sell it. He wants to get out, but Robin doesn't want to sell it. Why does Robin not want to sell it? I don't understand there's no hopes or dreams happening. Listen, corn ain't even growing out there, let alone hopes and dreams. Okay, Robin Brown, you need to let go of that. Okay, you might get you if you sold that. You might need to maybe upgrade your eyebrow pencil a little bit. Okay, because it's dark, baby, and it's bold. It's dark and it's bold. So anyway, he says he's not trying to rip them off. He says Janelle thinks that we got divorced so she deserves something. Yeah, that's usually kind of how it works, Cody, is that when there's a parting and a divorce, when you are divorced, whether it's spiritually or whether it's legally, that there is a division of assets. That usually happens in a divorce. Sometimes people usually get fucked over. At least one party does, okay? And so this is a divorce, just like any other divorce, except that your marriage wasn't legal. So, but you've been together for a long time, so she does have a right to those assets, and she also has money in those assets. So you're right, okay? She does feel like she deserves something, and 100% she deserves something. 100% she deserves something. The fact that you don't see it is how misogynistic you are to the role of women in your family, let alone how the women played throughout your life, okay? And it's just another way that Cody can be oppressive towards women. Now we're back at Cody and Robin's house, and their daughter Satine, or Agatha, I don't know what that youngest... Ariarala Bareilles. I don't know what that youngest girl's name is. I don't know that I've ever known it. Marshmallow. I don't care. I don't really care what her name is. But anyway, they bought her a vanity. Because she loves to wear makeup so much. That was actually the hottest gift of the year for Christmas this year, was vanities. Because all those little girls want to be TikTok makeup stars now. But anyway, Agatha, she wants this vanity. So they're putting together this vanity. Robin, this was so cringe to me because Robin just allows Cody to talk down to her. Like, it's like you have 3 wives that left because of this shit, and Robin just sits there and she tolerates it. I really, to be honest with you, I don't understand it at all. It's baffling to me that she just sits there and tolerates it. And so Robin says he loves to have a beautiful assistant. Okay. So anyway, then he goes on, and am I back in? Okay. Then, so they're building this, like, thing on the floor. Well, Cody's building it with his beautiful assistant. So then he goes on, and they are all talking about how Cody always needed a beautiful assistant. I think Janelle makes something in their jab. She's like, says something about like a diesel jeans model or something again. She's like, he needs his diesel jeans model or whatever. Anyway, he says he's trying to make up for all the years that he messed up. Rob calls, Rob. That actually made me feel good for a second. I think I'm just going to refer to Robin as Rob from now on. Robin Cody. Robin Cody. Okay. Rob calls him Babe Ruth because he always strikes out. And I'm like, but did Babe Ruth always strike out? Because if he always striked out, then, I mean, I don't know much about baseball. I don't know much about clothes, but my hair looks fierce. I don't know much about baseball, but I'm just assuming if Babe Ruth struck out that much, he wouldn't have been that famous, right? So is that a true statement? I don't know. You can all correct me in the comment sections below. But he sees Valentine's Day as a family day. Then we're back on the Valentine's Day. And then he says something about plural marriage. You're talking about Robin says something about, I don't know, something about marriage. And I'm like, I thought she wanted plural marriage because she's talking about how now it's just her and Cody and whatever. And they made a decision to not show affection towards each other. And I'm like, during plural marriage, I'm like, you did? Because you were tongue kissing Cody while Christine was in the hospital having her baby. Well, she was having Truly. You were tongue kissing Cody. Do you not remember that? And then she says, in front of the other wives. Well, I remember scenes where you were affectionate towards Cody. I remember scenes where you were pushing Meri to tongue kiss Cody in the kitchen and things like that. It was so uncomfortable to watch, right? And you all were so jealous of each other. So Robin's talking about how they made a decision to not show affection. She always thought that it was weird. She didn't like that. She thought that they should show affection to each other. Really? You did? You thought Cody should have been sitting in a big chair, Robin, and that all four of his wives should have been sitting on his lap, just what, like nibbling on him or something, giving him hickeys? I mean, girl, that's so weird. How would that have even worked? The one thing, like, it did make sense to me that I didn't know how none of it made sense to me how it really worked legitimately, but like the fact that they chose not to show affection towards each other out of respect for the other wives, that one piece kind of did make sense to me in all honesty. And I'm like, and she said she wouldn't do it, and she even apologized to Meri when it happened one time in front of her. I'm like, you pushed Meri to tongue kiss Cody. I remember that episode. It was in the kitchen. What are you talking about? Here's changing the stories again. She said she would have done it differently because it would have made each wife feel more comfortable if they had shown. And I'm like, no. She said it would have had to have some jealousy, but they had jealousy anyway. Can you even imagine the show if all of them were being affectionate? Well, Janelle wouldn't have wanted to be affectionate with Cody anyway, which is so funny because she never once showed one bit of affection towards Cody, and yet he acts like all she wanted for was his buns of steel, his rock hard abs. So, like, but can you imagine all them fighting for Cody? He's like, I mean, Christine and Robin would have gone at it. Can you even imagine, like, them in the kitchen? Christine would have been crying a river in her bedroom. Well, Cody was kissing Rob. I mean, it would have been a mess. Can you even imagine? She said that she and Meri, that if they were in a good place, they would have felt comfortable with it. I'm like, I don't think so. Janelle's mom told Cody something that Meri's affection to Cody made her uncomfortable. So that's when Cody stopped being affectionate towards Meri, and Meri really pushed affection early on. Then they give, well, I have written down Amanda Chantal. I don't know her name, but it is fun coming up with new names for her. They give Amanda Chantal her vanity, and then Robin and her are going to do a demonstration on how to paint on the darkest eyebrows the world has ever seen. So, anyway, now we're back at Coyote Pass again. Okay, production flew them out there for this one scene. And they're talking about the difference between a spiritual divorce and a regular divorce, and Cody's upset because he didn't have a say in it. But he didn't go to the spiritual divorce with Meri, and he's mad because it makes him look bad. And he says, I didn't abandon Meri. And she's like, I never used those words. That's the words that the bishop or whoever in the church used. And he said if he had given his testimony, they wouldn't have granted the divorce because the church is heavily, like, on the man's side. And so if he had said, you know, that, like, I never, whatever, about Meri, I never loved her or whatever, they would have never granted the divorce. So he had to just not go, which that kind of, honestly, in the realm of that religion, does totally make sense to me why he didn't go. That might be one of the nice things he did do for Meri. So I understand why he did that. And I'm sure, I don't know why, but just making that one statement, I'm sure people are going to be in the comment section and be like, well, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. So she says she didn't say that word and she's not responsible for that word being used, abandonment. He's the one that said that he didn't consider himself married to her anymore. Janelle says it didn't even occur to her because they're not part of that church anymore, to have a spiritual divorce. But now she's kind of thinking about it. Meri says the spiritual marriage was still valid, because if it wasn't, then when she got legally divorced from Cody, did it mean that her, Christine, and Janelle weren't still married to him? So the spiritual divorce for her meant a lot, because their marriages did mean something in the eyes of God to her. Christine says it was between her and God, and she's good with God, and she don't need no spiritual divorce. Meri says it was for eternity, and she knew Cody didn't want to be stuck with her for eternity, which I thought that was kind of funny. And then Janelle says she is considering a spiritual divorce. Meri actually says that she would go with her if she wanted to do that. They talk about, Janelle says they're both aware that they've never been the best of friends, but they're put in the effort through the years for the family, and that they shared core values. Now we're at the first Valentine's Day with Christine and David as a married couple. Christine, I mean, it's like the first poop on the toilet as a married couple. Did you celebrate that? Did you have a shot for that, Christine? Christine talks about Cody saying he wasn't attracted to her when they got married. This part kind of really made me sad, honestly. And that, like, they showed the conversation when he was like, I'm not attracted to you, I never was. And that it greatly affected her confidence. And now that she's with a man that makes her feel really good about herself, like, that helps her own confidence. I think that is true. You know, when you find a partner that does that. My husband does that for me. I think that's so true. When you find a partner, I'm like, how much longer do I have? Because I don't think I'm going to make it much longer on this video. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to hurt. Okay. She said she had to get over her opinion of his opinion of her, and she talks about the difference in monogamy, feeling like your husband has your back, and she never felt like that with Cody, and she doesn't think the other wives did either, but with David, she completely feels like that. Now we're at Cody and Robin's Valentine's Day, which I believe was at Josephine's for the 15th time this season. They must have had like a sponsorship with that show or something. He bought her gifts, and she's like, gifts? I wish he would have brought out that Cody Brown mask that Janelle and Christine found in that storage bin in the middle of nowhere. That's what I would have found. Or the frame with the angels in it that Robin gave to Meri when she moved away. He said Valentine's Day was always a challenge. In plural marriage, you have to give each wife the same thing. And he gives Robin these turquoise earrings. They're real pretty. He says pretty jewelry for a pretty wife. She goes crazy. Oh, okay, ow. Then he's talking about going to see Christine's, he talked about how he went and saw Christine's girls, and how he and Aspen had a long conversation. She asked him why he didn't like her, which I thought that was very telling. That Aspen said, Dad, why don't you like me? Why don't you like us? And he goes into this whole thing about, Robin says, oh, that sounds like a confrontation. Now, this is interesting that Robin says that sounds like a confrontation from his own child asking him, Dad, why don't you like me? Because Robin has always said that it's always them painting a picture of her being the one that's causing problems. The fact that Robin is telling her husband, this conversation that you're having, which is actually probably a healthy conversation with your daughter, sounds like a confrontation, to this one, sounds like Robin Brown starting shit with him and his kids. Because I think she's jealous and doesn't want him to have relationships with his kids. I don't think it just is about Robin. I think Robin doesn't really want Cody to have relationships with his kids. Because I can tell you right now, if that were me and I was in her position, I would say you need to start working on these relationships with these kids before you start working on relationships with my kids, okay? You need to go and do anything you can possible to have relationships with your 22 kids. This is ridiculous. And if they won't talk to you, you need to go and spend some time with them. And you need to really have the conversations and do the work. And if that means it needs to be in a therapeutic session, it needs to be in a therapeutic session. But you really need to do the work. But Robin's never said that we've ever seen. And for her to say that Aspen asking Cody, why don't you like me, is a confrontation, it's not a wife to a husband, ex-wife to a husband. It's from a child. So are you telling me if Brianna said to Cody, why don't you like me, that Robin, you would see that as a confrontation? I don't think so. Because Brianna, Satine, and Chiffon are seen completely differently in your eyes than the other kids, and they always have been. This is going to stop. Hold on a second. And this is one of the first episodes where I've really seen that Robin always acts like she cares about the kids, but she never mentions the other kids. There's been like 2 episodes where she's like, this out in the snow, where she's like, you really need to work on your relationship with your kids, but we've never seen her push past that. Was that all for production? Was it all just made up? I think it was. So anyway, he goes in and he's telling her about all this, and then he says that he tells Aspen that he always loved her, and he says that he got alienated from his children when the divorces happened, and that he has an assumption that the wives weren't protecting him from his children. And I'm like, we've heard from all your kids. Your kids said you didn't reach out to them. You know, whatever your wives were saying behind the scenes did not stop you from reaching out and trying to have date night, Wednesday night, dad night with the kids. That was on you, Cody. That was not on the kids. The 9 months during the lockdown rules that you chose not to see any of your kids except for Robin's kids, that was on you. I mean, the lack of accountability that Cody takes for his relationship with his kids is very telling, you know? He says he's trying to establish a relationship not represented by his wives. And Christine, they have Christine, and she says she doesn't trash talk him at all. And she's like, and she wishes he reached out more to his kids. That's really all she says. I mean, I haven't, like, all of the mothers have said that they wish that he reached out to more of his kids, you know? Reach out to your kids, Cody. Then get on the show and say, do a whole episode. This is why reunions are important, right? When the show refuses to do a reunion and Cody says the wives are keeping me from having a relationship with my kids, Christine could look at him and say, how many times in the last year have you reached out to the kids? They could have the kids on the show that wanted to be on the show. You know? Janelle could say, how many times have you reached out to Maddie in the last year? They could confront him. But they won't do a reunion with all of the cast members on the show. It's ridiculous. And they want us to keep on watching the show. It's ridiculous. Christine says it's weird that she was married to a man who had intimate relationships with other women. I'm like, you think? I've been thinking that for 19 seasons, but you're the one that got me to buy into that was normal. Now you think it's weird? We all think it's normal now, but you think it's weird. We're all out here wishing we had sister wives, and you think it's weird. We had to listen. Don't. Don't. But I did think that was kind of like eye-opening that she thought that now, you know? She says that he would give them all flowers and then kiss them all. And she can't believe that she was okay with it. I can't believe that you're okay with it either. But by that season where they had Valentine's Day, I was kind of like okay with it as well. I was talking to my friends about thinking it'd be fun if we all moved into a compound and had sister wives. That's the truth. You know? She didn't have a problem until Robin came along, you know? And it shows that Cody kissed Robin before they were married, and then it says something about Chris, anyway. He put it on Chris, it says something about Christine kissed Robin, or Cody, before they were married, and then he put it on Christine, and said, oh, no, this is what it was. So, Christine said you probably should have kissed your wives before you married them, because apparently in this religion, you don't kiss your wives until you marry them. So, she was like, you probably, and so Cody's like, well, that's the reason why I kissed Robin, because Christine told me to. Again, no accountability. Oh, thank God we're at the end of this. Okay, now we're back in Flagstaff, and Robin says that, does he ever still wish that they were in plural marriage? And she says that she wonders if one wife is enough for him or if they're going to try for another wife. I'm like, I thought we had this conversation like 4 episodes ago, and he said he was a monogamous now and he didn't want any more wives. And I think it's weird because didn't Robin just say in the last episode that she would never enter plural marriage again unless she had a guaranteed written contract from the wives that they would all get along? She's a fool. I mean, she's just absolutely a fool. This woman, I mean, she has no sense at all. No common sense, no sense of style, no sense. The woman has no sense. Anyway, so she's like asking him, and then he's like, well, is it good enough for me if we're just monogamous or having this conversation on Valentine's Day dinner? Which is, of course, where you want to have that conversation, right? Which is, you should never probably bring your problems into the bedroom or Valentine's Day dinner. He says he feels like he was slapped by polygamy because of how it ended. He doesn't want it anymore. He says his kids are a blessing, but he doesn't want anything to do with polygamy anymore. She says she's heartbroken, but it's still a part of her beliefs, but she's scared of polygamy. He apologized to her for being in a dark place for all of that. This was actually one of the only times I think I've ever seen Cody ever apologize to any of his wives genuinely, and he apologizes to her for being in a dark place and what he put her through at that time, and that he had bad thoughts about them because of what he had gone through. He almost walked away from Robin, he says. He almost was just like, I'm just done with all of this. That's the first time he's really kind of ever talked about it on camera. He says he's sorry to her again, and that he's sorry to his other wives as well. He says he was bullshitting himself, saying that he didn't love them because he was trying to protect himself. He says he's gotten his identity. This was so telling. This was probably the one piece of awareness I've seen from Cody in 19 seasons. He says he got his identity. So that we need to mark this and timestamp this, that he actually said he was bullshitting when he said he didn't love them. Which I think it would be nice if he reached out to each of his wives and said, what I told you was actually not true. And I was trying to protect my own pain. So by protecting my own pain, I hurt you. Because as they say, hurt people, and that's what he was doing, okay, as a 50-year-old man. And so he says in here he got his identity by his wives and his kids telling him he was awesome, and now they're gone, saying that he feels like he's a piece of trash. I thought that was so telling, that Cody has always gotten his validation from all the adoration that his wives and his kids have given him through the years, and that really what it was a gut punch to his ego and his pride when they walked away. Because what it said was, well, maybe you're not that great. Maybe you're not that awesome. Those are the moments that, my back is killing me, you guys. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get off here soon. Those are the moments that are honestly, I would like to see more of. Those very raw, honest moments. And not in a confessional, in people talking to each other. That's what this show needs more of, is people talking to each other. He doesn't blame them because he said that, he was just saying the same thing. And he says the experience is over. And he's talking about the marriage, the wives, the family, all of it. He goes, the experience is over. And he's very happy to be monogamous with Robin. And that's where the episode ended. So, yeah, interesting episode. I guess Coyote Pass is sold. I don't know if that's true or not. And he took back that he didn't love the wives. And yeah, we got to see a little bit of accountability. A little bit, just a little bit. I would love for him to say that to the wives and the kids, because that's been the piece that's hurt them so much for so long, that if he actually said that to them, maybe some healing, not between them. Healing doesn't have to occur between Cody and his wives or Cody and his kids. Healing could occur just for them alone. But if you would even give them those pieces, they might be able to start healing. Anyway, let me know what you think. Not that Janelle and Christine aren't, and the other kids, because I think they are. But I think Meri's stuck a little bit. And I think if she heard that, it would be, for all of them to hear that, I think it would be allowance for them to be able to leave that part behind. Anyway, let me know what you thought in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you on Monday back here for my next Sister Wives reaction.